right, well, let's get started. Happy New Year and welcome to our first Alumni Insights webinar of 2021 featuring Carrie Collins, graduate of the McAnulty College and Graduate School of Liberal Arts. I'm Sarah Speary, the AVP of Alumni Engagement, and I'm excited to have you join us to learn more about how to get highly organized in 2021. Before I begin my introduction of our presenter, I'd like to take a moment to thank my colleague and alumna Audrey Tierney, Associate Director of Alumni Engagement, for arranging for this program. Audrey will be managing the technical aspects of the webinar today. Throughout the presentation, your microphones will be muted, but you're welcome to submit questions or comments through the chat feature found on the toolbar on the bottom of the screen. Pre-submitted questions and those received through the chat will be addressed, time permitting, following Carrie's presentation. Now, I'm excited to introduce our presenter. Carrie Collins crafts order from chaos to solve people's problems. She holds both bachelor's and law degrees from the University of Pittsburgh, a master's degree in leadership and liberal studies from Duquesne, and PhD in leadership from the University of the Cumberlands. A consummate connector of individuals and ideas, Carrie creates structures and processes that result in higher efficiencies. As the founder and chief executive organizer of H.O.W, Highly Organized Woman, Carrie shares tools to find more hours in your day so you have more time for you. She'll show you how to show busy who's boss. Carrie, the participants and I are excited to learn more from your presentation today so that we can start our year off on the right foot. I'll turn the program over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Audrey. Both of you, you've been tremendously helpful. And hello, everyone. Thanks to the Duquesne University Alumni Association for the opportunity to talk with you today. Our primary objective is to help you get and stay not just organized, but highly organized, using practical and accessible tools that'll find more time in your day. So, what does the word organization mean to you? And you can put it in the chat, you can write it down on a piece of paper, you can keep it in your head. If you're driving, keep your hands on the wheel, but what does organization mean to you? And what do you think of if someone says she's organized? What do we think of? Is it that there's a plan? Peace of mind, that's a great one, peace of mind. For me, it's getting things done and having the time to get things done. How many people on here would describe themselves as organized? I know it's hard. It's hard when I can't see hands raising, but let's assume there's a fair few of you who consider yourselves organized but want to get more organized. So I have a few poll questions just to get us started so I get a sense of where everybody is. Poll number one, what problem are you trying to solve by being more organized? All right, answers are coming in. Easily distracted. Got it. Waiting. All right. Great. So for the most part, people are getting distracted or waiting until the last minute. Excellent. Poll question number two, what prevented you from succeeding in overcoming this obstacle in the past? Were you overwhelmed? You didn't have enough support? Regardless of what that support means to you, you have way too much, struggling to keep track of everything, or you're 2 steps behind. All right, so we have people mostly struggling to keep track of everything. I mean, especially when you're at home all day. And the last question, what's stopping you from trying to get organized again? Don't know where to start, you're just afraid to fail, there's just way too much. You're cool with the chaos, even if no one else is. All right. Don't know where to start, too much to handle. They look like the most popular answers. And so I'm pleased to tell you that today we are going to be able to address those issues. If you do nothing else, when you leave this presentation, you will take at least one tool, one hack, one habit with you to start getting organized. So I started this business to help people who either were or wanted to get organized and move it to highly organized. But I wasn't always like this. This is my college apartment in 1993. I was a sophomore. I was at the University of Pittsburgh. I don't understand some of these things. I don't know why there's an iron on the floor. I don't ever think I've ever ironed clothes in college, let alone what it was doing there. I don't really know what else might be lurking in the pile, but the point of this is to say I didn't become highly organized overnight. It was a process, it was a journey. And so if today is your first step in that journey, you'll get there too. And quite frankly, there's only so much control I can wield over other aspects of my life. So on the left is my mudroom / workout room. We keep the bike there. There's some weights behind there. It's all very nice and tidy. And then if you look at the picture on my right, there's junk and bags and bins and boxes, and it is not magazine worthy. But so you can't control it all. And that leads me to my 3 primary organizational philosophies. You don't have to do it all. I don't cook. Gardening to me is getting the Christmas tree at Christmas. That's a plant. It's live. It's fresh. That's about it. But you can do most of it. And what I'm going to help you to do today is get some tools in your arsenal to be able to start doing most of it, and most of it really well. I have 2 teenagers, a husband who is clutterblind, a dog. We've all been in our tiny little house for almost a year. And so I can't keep it all under wraps, but I can keep most of it organized and under control. You define what organized means to you. That definition that you said at the very beginning, that's for you. Your definition may be far different than mine, but whatever your definition of organized is, it's yours, you own it, and there's no judgment. There's no judgment here. You may not wish to send out your Christmas or have your Christmas cards ready in July, and that's okay. You may think that I'm nuts for having that mudroom so sloppily organized. Wherever you are on the spectrum, that's okay. The final philosophy is that, I'm going to throw a lot of tools and tips at you today. You use what works for you right now. In 6 months, you may say, what did that lady say that I think was helpful? These are designed to be very flexible. They're designed to help what you're already doing or to give you inspiration for new ideas. Use what you want, when you want, how you want it. There's no rules. So my experience has shown me that all of these stressors are often due to a lack of time. We don't have enough time for work. We don't have enough time for family. We don't have enough time for health. And the idea behind how is that if you are highly organized, you have more time. And just as Audrey said, I have a bunch of academic degrees. I have children and family. I'm a knitter and I teach and I run this little business. And I'm able to do all of that because I'm highly organized and I have extra time. So we're going to help you find time so that you can show busy who's boss. So the first are 5 habits. And these are the real core of my organizational structure, my organizational foundation. And these are really where I find the most power. So take note. This is the most powerful organizational tool in my entire toolbox. We simply have too much going on to remember everything. And so my advice, my habit, write it down. Write everything down. Sometimes I write a note to remind myself to write a note. Every single thing that you are, you want, or you wish you were doing, you should write down. As soon as you hear, think, or read of an activity, write it down immediately. And I keep my notes organized with a convention of activity, due date, and the person. So if it's for me to do, fine. But if it's for somebody on my staff to do, or one of my children to do, fine. It's schedule, doctor's appointment for my child by this date, and I write it down. The easiest way to make this even more powerful is to use recurring reminders. And I'll talk a little bit later about some of the apps that I use. But if you have a reminder that's set to remind you either daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, you can set that note once and forget it. I have a reminder on my to-do list that pops up every quarter to check my LinkedIn profile, my resume, just to make sure that if I've done anything in the last quarter, I add it immediately so that when an opportunity comes up, I'm ready to go. That resume is ready to go. My LinkedIn profile is as updated as it needs to be. I don't have to remember, oh, was I going to do that? What was that? I just wait for the reminder to pop up and tell me that it's time to do it. The next habit is to look ahead. With so much going on, it can be very easy to miss due dates. You don't want to be that person that never shows up to the meeting, doesn't remember the event, etc. I take 10 minutes at the beginning of every day or at the end of every day, depending on whether that's the chronological day or your work day, whatever works for you. And I look ahead 1 to 3 days. And there's no magic in that 1 to 3 days. It's really what suits you best. Some people don't want to look any further than the very next day, and that's fine. Some people look to the end of the week and continue to look to the end of the week. You review what's on tap for the next few days. You know, armed with this information, what's coming up, what you need to be prepared for. And while there's always going to be surprises and things that pop up, unexpected catastrophes, or your child says, hey, my science project is due tomorrow, can you help me? You'll at least have a plan in place that you can go back to if things get out of whack. I also sit down every Friday or whatever day ends your work week, and I look 1 to 3 weeks ahead. This was particularly important for me when I was traveling, because I was traveling just about every 3 weeks, and I needed to see what was going on, what activities did my children have coming up, did I need to get boarding passes, tickets, hotel rooms, etc. Do I have an event when we actually went outside our houses to events? Looking ahead 1 to 3 weeks is really soothing for me and makes me ready to tackle whatever's coming down the pike. I'm not spending time frantically running around because I didn't know what was coming ahead. So by taking those 10 minutes at the end of the day, on Friday, at the end of the week, you are going to save 10 times that in surprises and last minute frantic shuffling to do things. Until this becomes ingrained in your daily or weekly habit, you can remind yourself of this in a few ways. You can set a calendar appointment at the end of your day or the end of the week. You can set a recurring reminder on your digital to-do list to check, look ahead. And you could also set an alarm on your phone for 6 p.m., 4 p.m., whatever the end of your day and your week is, that will trigger you to look ahead. So looking ahead is great, but then if you don't do any of the prep work for what's coming up ahead, you're going to do yourself no favors. If I have a trip planned, a work trip in 2 weeks, then I schedule myself on my calendar for a set period of time, prep time. And that's when I figure out what are the strategies of the appointments I'm going to have. What materials do I need to either prepare or pack up? What hotel or other travel details do I need to have? You need to make sure that not only are you looking ahead, but that you're also preparing yourself for what's ahead. The easiest way to do this is, as I said, schedule prep time on your calendar. You control how much time, you control when you do it, whether it's 15 minutes before a meeting to get your thoughts together, or it's 2 days before a trip so that you have everything packed and ready to go. What often happens is that people schedule this prep time, and then when it comes time to do it, they say, ooh, I now have an extra 15 minutes, I have an extra hour, and they don't use it for prep time. Then you're just going to get yourself in a vicious cycle of always trying to play catch up. If you schedule the prep time and you pencil it in and you stick to it, it will help you keep on track for things that are coming up. How do I do this? You can, if it's an ongoing activity, you can schedule as a recurring reminder. For example, I meet with my boss every Friday. And so every Thursday, I have set a recurring reminder to prepare the agenda. On Thursday, then I sit, I think through what is it that I want to talk to him about. I may have recorded different notes in my to-do list about items to add to the agenda. And then I email it off to him, click it, and it goes down to the very next week. I don't have to shoot up in bed at 11 o'clock on Thursday night going, oh, I forgot to send him an agenda. And it allows me to make certain that I'm thinking ahead for the meeting the next day. You can also, as I said, schedule a calendar appointment for your prep time, whichever works best for you. The next habit is what I call in order, and to put it on repeat. So decide what you want to make time to do and make time to do it. Put it on repeat. So identify the time and protect it. So I, as you saw, I have a Peloton. I'm one of those crazy Peloton cult members. So, you can commit to workout 30 minutes a day at 6 a.m. every single day. In my life, it's just not realistic. Schedules change, travel, things fluctuate. I don't feel like it. But if you schedule time, schedule protect time for your activity. So it doesn't matter when you do it. I have a recurring reminder that says workout. Doesn't matter what time of day I do it. Doesn't matter for how long I do it. And it doesn't matter what exactly I do. So today I might ride the bike, but tomorrow I might do a 5-minute meditation. I have protected that time. It is something that I know I want to do. It's something that's important to me. And I make sure that I have it booked, right? So whether it's on your calendar or on your to-do list. When you protect your time this way, you've told yourself that it's important and you've told those around you that it's important. This is sacrosanct and you are making yourself a priority. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that's how I have managed to stay relatively sane in all of this. Recurring reminders, those are critical for this. As I said, I have it come up every day. And one of the sort of adages that I think of is, take 45 minutes to enjoy a yoga class once a week, because you will likely save 60 minutes worrying that you don't have enough time to take a yoga class during the week. So if we take all that time that we're fretting about not having enough time, put it into a calendar or on a to-do list and do it, you will have saved that time and been able to do the activity that you love so much. Situational awareness. My kids hate this. I notice everything. I notice construction signs. I notice cosmic signs. I can spot a new engagement ring from 100 yards away. I am constantly taking a look at my environment. So you can call it your inner Sherlock Holmes, whatever. Just means paying particular attention to the environment around you. Why and how is this tied to organization? The more details that you can observe, process, and react to, the faster you'll be able to cut through all the noise and make critical decisions. So I call it scanning, scrutinizing, and synthesizing. I log into a meeting. I take a look at all the people in the little Zoom boxes. I say, oh, I'm thinking to myself, Sally looks really good today. She's in a good mood. Ooh, Sammy does not look well. Maybe he's having a tough time. Maybe he's just not in the mood for this meeting. So I'm scanning, I'm checking out, I'm scrutinizing, I'm seeing what elements are out there, what might have an impact on what it is that I'm going to do or say during that meeting, and I'm synthesizing it to make a decision. So in our example where Sally's looking great, I might decide that that's the time to ask Sally a softball question or bring up something that I know Sally's been really excited about. Sammy, I might decide this is not the meeting to ask him a tough question. I do this all the time, especially with my boss. I can see when he's in the mood, when he's not in the mood. And if he's not in the mood, I'm not going to ask my question. I will save it for later. And I have therefore not wasted time, not wasted his time, and not gotten him more annoyed. So scan your environment, scrutinize to see what's going on, synthesize all that data, and help yourself make better, faster decisions. All right, those habits are designed to really help you change your behaviors in incremental ways. So if you do nothing else, when you leave this, you can start writing things down, or you can start the looking ahead. Any one of these tools will, over time, have a tremendous impact on your level of organization and the amount of time that you can find in your day. So these are the real nitty-gritty hacks. And the first thing I want to talk about is the to-do list practice. Regardless of whether you do a to-do list digitally or whether you do it on paper or some other method, there is a very strategic and thoughtful way to approach a to-do list. If you don't have one right now, or you don't have one that you're satisfied with, or you have pink, purple, blue sticky notes all over the place, I recommend starting with an information inventory. You can create it as a spreadsheet, you can write it on a piece of paper, but this is where you outline all the tasks, who's supposed to do them, whether it's you or someone else, what's the due date, and if there isn't one, make one up. And then is it a must do, would like to do, or don't really need to worry too much about? And so put all of your information in that information inventory. I like doing it in a spreadsheet because you can sort it by due date and then by priority level. And you can come up with your own, it's a red light, green light, yellow light, whatever, your own system for prioritization. But if you start with all of that information by due date and then by level of priority, you can then transfer that into a really efficient to-do list. I've talked a lot of times about recurring reminders. I cannot stress enough how much these recurring reminders have revolutionized my life. Today, for example, I'm in a networking group, and today is our LinkedIn pod where people post their LinkedIn posts into the pod, and we go in to LinkedIn and comment and like, and the LinkedIn algorithm boosts it. So I have a recurring reminder every Tuesday and Thursday at 10:30 a.m. that's when I go and check the pod. If I didn't have that recurring reminder, then I can't even imagine that I would remember, because we have so much going on. Believe it or not, I have a recurring reminder to reach out to my parents every Friday. Now, you might think that's cold and callous, but it's a way that I make sure I never forget. I never forget. Also, keep your to-do list clutter-free. Keep high-level items and put the details either in a separate note section, or, for example, if you use a CRM, if you're in sales and you have prospect calls to make, you can put in your to-do list prospect work. So every Thursday, I have prospect work. Doesn't matter what time, doesn't matter for how long, or throughout the day when I do it, but every Thursday, I do prospect work. All the details of what work I am supposed to do that day are in my CRM. So I go into that system and I have all the tasks listed there. So I don't have to have all of that stuff in my to-do list. It makes it less likely to feel overwhelmed, and you're more likely to get it done. Adding tasks immediately, I talked about, anytime, anywhere. Even if you have to write it down I don't recommend writing on your hand, but if you have to write it down on your hand and then transfer it to your to-do list. Adding tasks immediately, as soon as you think of them, will help you develop a really strong to-do list practice. My absolute favorite app for this, my absolute favorite app, I think ever, is Todoist, ToDoist.com. You can download it as an app, and it syncs between your phone, your iPad or Android tablet, and your desktop. And your laptop. So when I log into my laptop, it's a tab. When I'm out and about, I have it on my phone. You can do all of these to-do list practice steps in Todoist. You can have different lists. I have a list for work, a list for personal, a list for my networking group, a list for teaching, a list for my business. I have them color coded. And then you can add tasks to each separate list, but then it gives you an agenda. It gives you in chronological order what you have listed, what you have coming up. And if you feel overwhelmed by looking too far ahead, they allow you to just look at the today view. So you can see these are the items that I have to do today. If you get those finished and you want to move on, you can go and look at what's called the upcoming. But if you want to take it day by day, right there on Todoist, you can do that. It's absolutely fantastic. It's free. There is a paid premium version. I have not needed the premium version, and I have been using it for well over a year. And there's nothing in it that I think I need from a premium level. So probably most people can use the free version as well. Digital declutter. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? All the emails. What are we going to do about all the emails? So I actually just did a Instagram takeover for a company called FabFitFun, and it is posted on their Instagram TV, and it is all about digital declutter. So if this is really where you are struggling, there's some of these tips plus a whole lot of other tips. It's about half an hour that you can see on Instagram. But my top tools for email are grouping conversations. Whether you're in Microsoft or in Gmail, you can turn on the setting called group conversations. If you send an email and then go to lunch and you come back and you have 16 different responses, if your conversations are ungrouped, you will have 16 different emails in your inbox. If you select group conversations, all of those emails that are in response to the one that you sent with the same subject line will be grouped in one line, and it will be listed in order of the most recent response first. I personally am not a big fan of grouping conversations. I like to see things very separate, but for some people who just get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails, this may be a great way to help tame your inbox. Another great tip is aggressive deleting. Delete, 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 delete. Don't let it sit there. Don't let it linger. If you don't need it, delete it. If you don't want it, delete it. And if you're afraid to delete something, I have a tip for that as well in a second. Don't hesitate to delete. Aggressive unsubscribing. We all get marketing emails. We all get marketing emails that we didn't sign up for. Some that we did sign up for and then changed our minds. I encourage you to take 20 or 30 seconds to either scroll down to the bottom, click unsubscribe, and get that email permanently out of your inbox. Or at least in Gmail, there's a button at the top, a link that you can click that Gmail will unsubscribe for you. Take those few extra seconds, unsubscribe so that you don't have to keep deleting them. My favorite email tool, one that has, I say this a lot, revolutionized my life, is Control P. So that's on a PC, on a Mac, I believe it's Command P, whatever it is. It's the print function. But when you hit print, instead of sending it to a printer, you go to the settings and you change it to save as PDF. You save it to your digital files. I have a naming convention that I use, which is the date, then the word email, then the name or the initials of the person who it's from, then the word Ray, R-E, and then a short description of what it is. All of your emails then, if you have a correspondence subfolder, or even if you just keep your digital folders by date, all of the emails will then be organized date, email, date, email, date, email. When you do that, the PDFs then, when you pull them up 6 months later, all of the links that may be embedded in that PDF are live. All the email addresses are live. Any of the links that might have been exchanged by virtue of the conversation are live. As long as the link is live on the other end, it remains active. This is great if you send emails to your team. I need you to do this, or this is a list of what we talked about. This is a summary. You can save that sent email into the folder that you have for that employee, so you don't have to keep the email in your inbox. That can free you up to delete. Control P does not, to my knowledge, allow you to save the attachments that may be with an email. You may have to go back in and save those on your own. But at the very least, you are not printing and you are saving critical emails in a spot that's better and more easily searchable and more likely organized than your email inbox. Digital folders, for sure, whether it's Google Drive, whether it's Dropbox, Evernote, whatever it is, they say you should be able to find any document in your digital folders in 15 seconds or less. If you can't find your documents in 15 seconds or less, it's the new year, start a new way to organize. Think about hierarchy and tiers of your digital folders. Is it the main subject followed by subsets? So for example, personal, and then I have a folder for one child. And then under that folder, I have camp, medical, school. Think about whatever structure or hierarchy makes sense for you. Set that up and then move your files around so that things are easier to find. Go paperless. So this is also tied to digital, but in a slightly different way. So Rocketbook, I'm just looking, oh, I do have one here. A Rocketbook looks like this. It is a notebook. It's called Rocketbook. You can buy it at Staples, Office Max, Home Depot. It's about $35. And it allows you to set up digital destinations. So you can set with these little like lucky charms, you can say, I'm going to send email, personal email, work email, Google Drive, Dropbox. And then when you take notes on the pages, this one's blank, there are the same lucky charms at the bottom. When you're finished writing for the day, like my notes here, I have it circled. You use the Rocketbook app, you snap it, and it will send a PDF of these notes to the digital destination that you have specified. When you are finished using it, you take water and a cloth, you wipe it off, the page goes blank, and you can use it over and over and over again. It's really sustainable. I believe there's 32 pages in a notebook of this size, so you don't have to keep doing that. If you're in the middle of a meeting and you're taking multiple pages of notes, you can keep going. It does scan your handwriting. So if you have horrific handwriting, this may not be the tool for you. But if your handwriting is pretty good and you like the tactile act and art of writing, consider a Rocketbook. When you buy it, it comes with a single Pilot Flexion pen and a cleaning cloth. The great thing is it's just a Flexion pen. When the one that comes with it runs out, you can buy a pack of 10 at the Office Max or Office Depot for very, very little money. So minor investment at the outset and easy to maintain. The mini scanner, it's actually called Scanner Mini. It's an app. I got the paid version at $4.99, and it allows you to scan anything and send it as a PDF to your digital Dropbox, to email, to any one of a number of destinations. It also then allows you to keep it on the Scanner Mini app. Basically, it's like having a printer, copier, faxer right in your pocket. I love this for things like insurance cards and my passports. I have scanned all of our passports and I keep them in my app, my protected app, so that if ever I'm doing anything, I've got access to it right there. iPhones have now started in their iOS iNotes. They have started that you can now scan using the iOS notes. So you may want to think about, if you're an iPhone user, giving that a try. You may not even need Scanner Mini. It's a fabulous app. I cannot tell you enough how much I use it for scanning everything. Hurdler is, again, I use the free version of Hurdler. Hurdler is an expense app, and it will allow you, I started using it at work before we got a little bit more sophisticated in our expense tracking system, but you can use it for your personal receipts. How many of you are getting ready to go to the accountant's with a box full of receipts, or a folder full of receipts and little snippets and pieces of paper and 1090s, whatever? Hurdler allows you to scan it with their app, but not save the photo to your camera roll, which is great. Who needs copies of their, unreimbursed business expenses and among their children's photos? Scan it, categorize it, whether it's unreimbursed business expense, medical expense, mileage, whatever. And then at the end of the month, at the end of the year, you can pull a report in Excel that will not only have it by category with the amounts, but it will also have a link to the photo of the receipt. So you could go to your accountant. Actually, you don't even have to go to your accountant. You can email this single folder, single file in Excel, and all of your tax information will be contained therein. You can also download the report as a PDF, but it doesn't allow you to attach, at least the last time I looked at it, it doesn't allow you to attach copies of the receipts. Absolutely revolutionary if you are not great at keeping track of your expenses. I think at this point, we have a few questions. I'm just going to put up here my logo, my tagline, also my website URL. I have just updated my website pretty significantly. So there's a free toolkit on there. There's information about training programs and a new H.O.W. University that I've launched, which is a leadership development and training program. And there's links to articles, all kinds of information that you can tool around and find answers to any questions that we might not be able to get to today. Otherwise, I will have Sarah ask me some of the questions that have come in, and we'll do my best to give you all sparkling and witty answers.
We would love your sparkling and witty answers, Carrie. You did talk a good bit about email and organization of your email. Thank you so much, because that is the one thing I struggle with so much is email. But we did get a question that said, I have folders for email and filters, but still can't seem to keep up. What can I do to organize email? Do you have more to elaborate?
I do. Actually, I have some more tools for email. Two things. I know folders can be totally overwhelming for people. You create a folder and then you forget you have the folder, and then you don't forget you have the folder, but you put the stuff in the folder and then you don't remember to access the folder. So if folders trip you up, then I would suggest using the Control P, saving emails, relevant emails as PDFs into your digital folder in your Dropbox or Drive or shared, Exchange server, etc., so that it's not in your email, but you have the information. The other folder that I highly recommend is actually on the personal side. How many of us have placed one or two online shopping orders lately? Right? The Amazon guy is like worried about us when we don't have something show up. And how many of us are still waiting for packages that we may have ordered a few weeks ago, right? I ordered something on November 27th and it's still not here. The way that I keep track of my online ordering is I have a folder called Order Confirms. And every time I get an email, Cole says, congratulations, you've ordered these wonderful things. I put that in my order confirms folder. As items start to come in, I go, okay, that's everything. Then I can delete it. But sometimes I don't always remember what I ordered and what's coming in which shipment. And now so many companies are sending things, they don't send it all at once so that it meshes exactly with the receipt. They send 3 things here and then 2 things here. So until I have everything in my possession, I keep that email in my order confirms folder. It also makes it great for returns. If you want to return something, you go in, click, it's done. So that's the folder that I really, really recommend. I do know of a colleague who created, and actually my husband, I suppose, created a whole separate email for online shopping. That's another option. It does mean that you will have another inbox to manage, but if you keep all of your online shopping in one, then all the ads and sign up for promotions and coupons, that'll all be stuck in that one box. So that is another option to consider. But I recently discovered an app called Spark. Spark is free. I oversee 5 email inboxes, and I have probably less than 10 emails in each one at any given time. Spark is an app that lets you, so on my phone, I used to have the iOS mail app and then the Gmail app for other things. And then I had to have a Microsoft app because I had an account that was Microsoft. Spark lets you combine all of those accounts into a single app. And you can color code them. So you can color code them, all your accounts. You can set up different signatures for each one. And it does have a smart inbox feature. So you could see every email you have that's currently in your inbox in one, and it will start to recognize people and patterns and newsletters and categorize it even further. But what I really love about this is you can schedule send, which you can't do in iOS, and you can snooze. So if you say, okay, I know this email is important, but I can't really deal with this right now. Remind me tomorrow morning. You can get it out of your way. It goes away and it will pop back up once the snooze is done. I'm about 2 weeks into it. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to stick with it for the long term, but immediately I went from 3 different apps and 5 different inboxes to one app all in one list. Revolutionary.
Yeah, we get a lot of communication, and that's keeping communication organized is difficult. We did actually get a question related to that through the chat from Allison. She said, do you recommend deleting email folders that are maybe 5 years or older, or how do you handle old stuff?
Yes. If you're not using a folder and it's making your folder list so ridiculous that you can't find your other folders, then get rid of it. And if it has materials in it that you want to keep, Control P, save as PDF, and then delete it. You can move it from your inbox into your digital folder, shared drive, whatever. So you still have the data, but it's not clogging up your email inbox.
Great, thanks for that. We did get another question through the chat relating to your information about Hurdler and asking how secure it is. Do you feel safe, and what do you know about that?
So that's a great question. I am probably like every hacker's dream because I just sign up for stuff. I've had no problems with it, but it's a valid question. I would recommend checking out what the app says, what the privacy policy is. I was using it largely, as I said, for business expenses, and because until we got a better system, so I wasn't using it for personal, but I still think there's a lot of value in it. Great question. I would check out and see what the company itself has, and if you're not comfortable, then it's not worth it.
Great. Well, thanks for that information. One of the other pre-submitted questions says, to what degree does willingness to be organized come into play? How would you answer that?
Yes. So if you're not willing to get organized, there's not going to be there's no amount of apps, shortcuts, tips, tips, tricks, tools, hacks, whatever you want to call them, that will convince you otherwise. If you are willing, but just don't know how to get started, and you fall into that camp and you're on, hopefully you found at least one tool today, whether it's the Control P to save your emails or writing everything down. Start very small. Rome wasn't built in a day, as I'm fond of saying, and just build it little bits at a time. But if you really aren't, if you're cool with the chaos, then you're not going to feel any, I think, desire. For me, it just, as someone said in the chat earlier, it's peace of mind. So not only is it functional, it allows me to do more, but it's also mental, emotional, psychological. I feel better at the end of a day knowing that I have accomplished the tasks that I had set out before me.
Great, thanks. There were a couple pre-submitted questions around the same topic, and it's top of mind. Everyone has been quarantined and spending a lot of time at home doing both school and work and other things. How do you keep organized while working and doing homeschool?
Yes, so I've actually escaped to my work office. So I'm not even at home. I live about 5 minutes from my work office, and was able to come here to get some peace and quiet. But if you can't do that, I have a couple ways to approach it. The first thing that I do is I call it rendling the mess. So for me, I need to have a physical space that feels, if not totally organized, at least not completely in chaos. So start at one side of your desk or your work area and go through and decide this can be pitched, this can be scanned, this can be filed, whatever it is, until you get yourself into a workspace that will help you achieve a sense of calm and a sense of ready to work. The other option is I highly encourage people to schedule breaks, whether you put it on your calendar, whether you set an alarm on your phone. When we were in law school, my husband used to need to take breaks with coffee table books, really pretty books that, they don't have a lot of words. You just have to, you're resting your eyes, you're resting your brain. But whether that's taking a walk, whether that's, playing with the dog, whatever it is, schedule yourself some time and make sure you get up, move around, do something different to break up that day. And smart snacking. So this one is especially if you have a lot of or even one child in the house, or even for yourself. So I love a company called Lunchbox. They create stainless steel bento boxes for lunch, and they have different colored lids. And you could put breakfast snacks in the blue lid, lunch snacks in the green lid, and afternoon snacks or something in the orange lid. And they stack right on top of each other in the refrigerator. That will help you when you get up and take your break, go and get a smart snack, feel like you're nourishing your body as well as your mind. But there is no, I'm in my house, my husband's in one room, my kids are in their bedrooms. I've taken over the basement. We're not working optimally, but I will say that something else to consider is shutting down at a time much or hour, 2 hours earlier than you usually would have. And then spending time with, whether it's family, whether it's your dog, whoever, whatever, take some time for yourself, even if that means you have to log back on later. So if you have small children, log off 4:30, 5 o'clock, spend 5 to 7 o'clock with your family, dinner, whatever, then you can log back on. But we really need to try to give ourselves separation between work and home. I find myself sitting in my easy chair in my little work nook in the basement, and I'll look up and I'm like, oh my God, it's 1 a.m. What am I doing? Because there's just no signal that it's the end of the workday or that it's time to move on. So creating those breaks in your day will help give you a little bit of separation.
Yeah, I found at the beginning of quarantine, I work from a secretary desk, and every night I just close the lid just to step away. Got to do that. So we had pre-submitted questions, but also on the same topic, another submission through the chat about customized planners and what kind of planners are good. The one in the chat says she cannot decide between Golden Coil, Personal Planner, May Designs, Plum Paper, and there's Agendio. You know about any of these, and what do you know about planners?
So I don't use a planner. I use my calendar for scheduled appointments, things that have a time. And I use my to-do list on Todoist, the Todoist app, for everything else. So I don't carry a planner. It's all on my phone. And if you do love paper, because a lot of people I really understand that, like to write things down, like to have a planner, like to really keep track of it. You can do both. It's just you have to figure out what you want to put in your planner versus what you want to put on the app. Maybe it's you keep the app for your work and you use a planner for personal. But I don't actually use a planner because those two, between the calendar and the to-do list, I have absolutely everything I need for organization. I think I have stuff on my to-do list until, the fall. So that's how I keep things organized.
So we've gotten through the pre-submitted and the chat, and I do have one question personally. As far as like notifications that you get about emails or voicemails or messages coming through LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, you get all these things. What do your notifications look like, or how do you manage those?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And I talked a little bit on my Instagram Live about how do we manage multiple digital platforms. So with respect to email, I turn off the little desktop email notifications because I have a Pavlovian response, right? Something pops up and I'm like, I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing because this clearly is more important than whatever it is. And you just find yourself constantly being pulled to the little ding in the bottom right hand, at least in ours, is the bottom right hand corner. So I disable all of those desktop notifications. I keep my LinkedIn, I keep all my social media apps in a cluster on my phone. And I check them throughout the day, but one way to provide yourself some more discipline is to check them on 10 to the hour. So every day, 3 minutes ago would have been your time to go and cycle through LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, any Slack, chat, Teams, whatever we're all on, and only check then, as opposed to being pulled constantly. So checking them at a set time, and the reason I say 10 to the hour is because you give yourself 10 minutes to do it. And then whatever at the top of the hour, you're done. Everything else waits till the next cycle. Now that also assumes that there's not anything really critical coming through those. So you may have to balance that, but emails, turn off your notifications, social media and other apps, schedule it so that you don't while away the day on, last night I stopped and I looked and I had 26 LinkedIn notifications. I'm like, nothing is that important, but there they were. But I waited until, in my case, for those, I waited till the end of the day.
Yeah, great. Well, all this information has been awesome for helping us organize our families and our work and just all this digital information that we're receiving. So we certainly appreciate that. Do you have any final remarks before we wrap up today?
I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to talk with you today. I hope you found it informative, somewhat entertaining. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm at Carrie Collins, and you can follow How on, there is a LinkedIn page. I'm on Instagram at how_bossbusy. There's also a Facebook page as well. Just thank you so much for your time. Check out stuff on the website, and go Dukes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for your great presentation and answering the questions. I think your tips and suggestions will set us all up for a great start to our new year. Thanks to all our alumni and friends who joined in, and you'll be receiving a copy of the presentation recording to share with others and to reference if you missed anything. If you or an alumnus that you know is interested in presenting an Alumni Insights webinar, a link to the presenter's application will be in your follow-up email. So have a great day, everyone. Stay safe, and as always, go Dukes.
Go Dukes.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.